everyone, and welcome back to my sewing room. If you're new to my channel, my name's Diane and I like to share with you bits of information about the things I've been making. I wasn't going to put a film out this week, a video, because I've spent more days in the garden than I have in the sewing room. Because here in the UK we started off with some wet weather and then suddenly had a few days of glorious sunshine, and so if you're a keen gardener, it's perfect. It's perfect weather to get out and weed in the damp soil and do all the things that have been delaying you because of the wet weather. So I've been out doing that, but I woke up this morning and I thought I will put out a video and share with you the progress that I've made on this vintage quilt. And so it's not a complete flimsy yet. Hopefully next week I will put out a video of the completed flimsy. I haven't got the backing yet for it. I'm still looking out for it. I was tempted, but it wasn't quite right. So I'd rather hold out and get a wide back in the colours that I want. So I will find something eventually, and so I will share that though. I'll complete the flimsy this week. So I've got my diary because when things are a little bit chaotic, I need to reference information. So I think first of all what I'd like to talk about is the inspiration for this quilt. So I have mentioned a few times that I wanted to make a vintage quilt, and I have got an older book, the first quilt book I ever bought, and I'll get that down and I'll show you an image of that and put the details of it. And in that old book there is a vintage one, and it's not like this at all, because I think what I'm looking for is to take inspiration from vintage quilts and to look at the things that I really love about them, which are many. A lot of the blocks in the vintage quilts are the blocks that we use today, but I thought, you know, you've got a different way of putting them together, you've got different fabrics to choose from. So I haven't bought reproduction fabrics as such. I've just bought muted colours, I would call it, teals and creams and soft browns. That's a brick red that looks like a brown on the side, a sort of rich rusty colour. And so I'm putting them all together. There's a little bit of William Morris in there, which I really love. In fact, I had been saving scraps of precious William Morris fabric that I have used within those squares, and so I think what I wanted to do with this vintage quilt was to take the essence of the old quilts. I really liked, you can see there's a cream and the brown and then another cream, little panels that go around. In some of the old vintage quilts they had border prints that would give you that effect, and I hadn't got any of those, but I liked that effect. If I'd had some sort of ribbony border I would have included that, I think, but I hadn't looked for one, so I made those little borders. And the quilt that I've been inspired from in this book starts with a medallion and then it works around in smaller squares. So the inspiration for this was the old vintage quilts, medallion in the centre, a square within a square. I've got a monkey wrench. In this book it's got a zigzag panel around the quilt, and I'll show you that. And also it's got little four patch, and that's where I'm going next. On the outside of this zigzag I'm going to completely fill the space with these little four patches. And in the book they've put half square triangles together, which is something I really like the look of. If I configure the four patch colour choices of those half square triangles in a particular way, I will form pinwheels. So yes, I could make it look as if there's pinwheels all on the outside, and I really like pinwheels, and I could do that. But I like the sort of chaos of these different colour half square triangles in this old one. So I think I've only made 2 sets at the moment, and so I think I'm going to not form pinwheels. As you can tell, I'm not 100% certain yet, but I don't think so. I have on the floor below a lot of the half square triangles cut out in all different fabrics to make it sort of scrappy, and that's what I want to do. I've so far got enough. I've worked out that I need to have 44 blocks to go around the space so far, 44 4 patches, and I'm definitely going to go at least 2 wide, and so I'm making these 4 patches in 4 identical blocks, so it sort of keeps me going, and I don't want to have lots of replications, and so if I've got 4 of the same and then the next 4 I do completely different, it should work out all right, I think. But really, I don't mind if fabric touches. I mean, some of the old antique quilts, when you look at those, they've just come across fabric, haven't they, when fabric was scarce. And you can sometimes see a whole side is one or a couple of the same fabric, and then it's completely different elsewhere. So as they've built up the quilt over time and come across fabric, they've just used it in, you know, particular areas and not spread it around. So I suppose that's my nod to a modern quilt, is that, you know, I have the luxury of going to get some fabric as and when I need it. I did go to my local fabric shop for these half square triangles, and I bought 2 more meters. Well, one was less than a metre. I had all that was left on the roll in the teal. The lady in the shop said teal's very popular at the moment and it's selling out fast, and that's what I'm doing. I've just got them all laid out, and I'm looking to make 11 blocks of 4 sets of 4. So I think that's everything to do with my quilt. Like I say, I hope to finish the flimsy next week. I'm not going to just go and buy wide back if it's not quite right, because I want it to sort of work together. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's all for the sewing in my sewing room. Marion's World. If you heard me talk about that in recent videos, I did make a little robin. I'll put a little picture of him. Marion's World is a YouTube video from a lady in the north of England, Marion, and she's making a sew along sort of a winter garland. She's doing 1 a month, and they're all sort of wintry themed things, I think. So the first one was a robin, which I made. And then February's was a little cluster of fallen leaves or winter leaves that she put together, and I've bought the materials for that, but I haven't started that because I've bought tickets to go and visit my sister in Spain. So in April I shall have some time away. I won't be making videos then. Perhaps I'll take some videos of the things that I've been doing there, and I'll share them when I come back. But I think what I'm going to do for Marion's World is collect the materials, prepare them all, and then I'll take them with me to Spain. So I'll have a little bit of hand sewing to do there. So I'm not going to touch on those. The Jessica Diane quilt along, I have been watching her blocks as they've come up. I don't think I'm going to make the whole quilt. I'm just taking notes of the blocks that she's used. It is beautiful. It's going to look lovely. I think I might make some of those blocks because they are beautiful. I might put some together for Project Linus, so that's my intention there. I do need to finish the wonky quilt that I started for Project Linus. These are all things I'm hoping to do in March, so I'm hoping to finish the flimsy for this. I'm hoping to finish the wonky quilt for Project Linus. I did design a rabbit quilt last year. That went off to Project Linus, and I do think I'd like to do another one. I made 2 designs. I'll put the designs up, and I do fancy making the rabbit with his back to us looking over just a field of flowers. I think that would look really lovely, and I've got some really lovely fabric I could use that for. So I'm thinking I might do that for Project Linus. So I have no other plans at the moment for myself or for my shop after this one, but I do think there's a few more vintage style quilts I'd like to make. Like I say, I was a little bit delayed in starting this one because I was overwhelmed with ideas, and then I decided I'll make more than one, and I would like to make a floral one, a sort of a Dutch influence. So apart from those things, there's no other plans for March in the sewing. Visitors are with us again. What else? The garden. I suppose I should get onto the garden now. So, like I say, in the UK we've had rain, rain and more rain. And I don't mind. I put on a coat and I still go and wander around, and I like to be outside when I can. And I've got to say that there are moments, I've captured them on camera for you, where the acer, I've got quite a nice acer at the bottom of the garden, and as it's just now beginning to come into bud, it sort of holds the raindrops, and it looks like bare branches, but it looks like there's diamonds hanging off. It's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. But then the sun came and it dried up a little bit, so it was enough for me to get out. I'll show you the big buddleia in the front garden that was full of buddleia seeds as well. I know that in some parts of the world and in the UK, buddleias are seen as weeds because they can be quite invasive. I've cut all the seeds off now because there's plenty of cover for the birds, and I shaped that. I also went out and I've completely weeded the front garden and cut back now all the dead heads of all the seeds that were out there. Give them a little shake. I like them to self-seed if possible. It's really strange because one of the pernicious weeds I have in the front garden is the buttercup. I quite like buttercups, and if they weren't so intent on world domination, I'd leave them. But they always seem to try and get into the roots of other plants. You know, they get right inside all the roots, and so they're a terror to pull out. So I've pulled all those out that I can see. And what I found interesting is I have bought some plants for the back garden. I'll show you those in a minute. One of those was another hellebore beauty to go in my little collection that's developing underneath the acer tree. And I realised that the buttercup and the hellebores are related. I didn't know that. So there I am in the front garden pulling out the native ones and planting the introduction of foreign species in the back. So I'm sure really I shouldn't be doing that. But the bees do like these oriental hellebores too, so they're out there, and I'll show you now the images of all the things that I bought. So these on the table here, you can see there's a little collection. In the centre there is a barometer. Now at Christmas I was given a gift voucher for our local garden centre. We are lucky because we have 4 local garden centres, but I had been given this gift voucher, and because at Christmas time it's full of Christmas things and the stock is reduced on the shelves, and they didn't have any barometers, so I tried 3 times to get a barometer since Christmas, but on this last time they were in. So I've bought one of those. The reason we have a barometer is when we bought the house there was one on the wall, and we've been here, this is the 13th year now, and that one was old and damaged and I wanted to replace that. So that's gone up. And I also bought some ferns. I added 2 ferns down underneath the acers to that little collection that I'm growing down there. And I also bought this beautiful hellebore, and I bought 5 pots of bluebells, and they're the English species, so the bees love those, and I'll show you where the layout of the bluebells are. So I think that would look pretty underneath the apple tree. They might blossom at the same time, so that would look pretty. And then I will show you this beautiful hellebore. Oh, it's so pretty. I put it in and it looks like it's been there forever. The other thing I've done in the garden is I've planted some hardy annual seeds. I've just scattered those. I've put some borage at the back. You can eat the borage leaves and the flowers, but they look pretty on a salad, but the bees love those. And some California poppies on the front. So that's my week. My week in the garden, my week in my sewing room, and I will get on and get that done and share that with you next week. So whatever you're doing in your sewing or gardening world, weather permitting, get out and enjoy yourself. Even if you don't like gardening, it's good to have a look and see what's going on in the world. The two robins are really busy nesting at the moment. It's really funny because I saw the robin kept flying in with huge wet leaves, oak leaves and all things. And I was thinking, well, he's not putting those, or she's not putting those in a nest. It's too quick. It was straight in and straight out. And what they've done, I'll try and get a picture if I can. I don't want to get too close to them. But what they've done is they've just made sort of a little runway over the ivy. So I suppose it stops the ivy getting in the way of them flying in and out. And they've sort of made a little road of these leaves, and they've all dried now, leading into the area where they've nested. So amazing things are going on around us, and we just need to take a second to have a little look, not to miss these wonders of nature. So that's it. Oh, and a wren. I've got a little wren. I doubt I'll be able to get a picture of that because, you know, it's fleeting in and out. But yes, it looks like we've got wrens nesting as well. And there is pigeons. So we've got 2 pigeons up in the neighbour's conifer. So they're in and out. We've got wrens nesting and robins nesting. So not a bad start to the year. So enjoy everything that you can see around you, and I will see you again next week, hopefully on time. Who knows? Take care. Bye. Thanks for watching.